There are multiple title contenders in the 2025 Formula One season. In this video, we will cover the strengths and weaknesses of Charles Leclerc. Let's start with his strengths. The biggest advantage of Leclerc is his qualifying form. Let's go back to 2019, his first ever season with Ferrari. He scored 5 consecutive pole positions from Belgium all the way to Mexico. He didn't convert each of them into wins, and we will talk about why in the weaknesses section, but he does have phenomenal qualifying pace. Additionally, Leclerc outqualified all of the teammates that he has ever had. In total, he has 26 pole positions, all of them which have been impressive. In fact, he has got consecutive pole positions in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in the Baku Street Circuit from 2021 to 2024, back to back to back to back pole positions. The second advantage of Charles Leclerc is his pace management. Whether it is maintaining a particular lap time and bringing the car home in that position, or whether it is aggressively attacking or defending, he knows where to push the car well and where to ease off the throttle. Let's go back to his first ever season with Ferrari and his first ever race with Ferrari, 2019 Bahrain Grand Prix. He managed pace perfectly the entire race, and after the race he obviously finished P3 because of a power unit issue. Both of the Mercedes of Lewis and Valtteri managed to overtake Charles Leclerc in the dying stages of the race, which was unfortunate. But right after the race, you can see Lewis Hamilton congratulating Charles Leclerc on such a dominant and great drive. And the fact that he didn't win is not a reflection of his performance and his ability, it's because of Ferrari. But he knows how to manage pace when he is leading a race. Even right from the get-go, he has never led a race until 2019 Bahrain Grand Prix. That was the season opener. He was first ever season with Ferrari. Another recent example comes from the Las Vegas 2024 Grand Prix, where initially, at the initial stage of the Grand Prix, first few laps, he was close to George Russell and he was putting the pressure on him, trying to make the overtake. In that occasion, obviously, he was not successful because for some reason Mercedes were rapid in the Vegas Grand Prix, but it shows that Leclerc knows when to push the car and by how much. The third advantage of Charles Leclerc is his wheel-to-wheel racing abilities. This is where he is definitely better than Lewis Hamilton. All of the hashtag Team LH people are getting mad in the comment section. And he is almost as good as Max Verstappen, which is one heck of a thing to do. I'm going to give you a few examples. The first one comes from the 2019 British Grand Prix. Again, his first ever season with Ferrari, and he was exchanging positions with Max Verstappen. It was a good battle. Verstappen had a little bit of extra edge over him in that particular occasion, but fortunately Sebastian Vettel crashed into Max and Leclerc ended up finishing ahead of Verstappen. Either way, that was a good showcase of talent. Another great example comes from, actually there are many great examples that come from the 2022 Formula One season, particularly the Bahrain Grand Prix. Charles was strategically using the DRS. So in the start-finish straight, he would allow Verstappen to overtake him. And then between turn 3 and 4, he will use the second stretch of DRS to pass him once again. So this was a great showcase of talent and ability, and which allowed him to secure the victory on that particular occasion. There were many more incidents in the 2022 season, Saudi Arabia, Austria, probably a few other examples that I'm forgetting right now. The most recent wheel-to-wheel racing ability come from the 2024 Sao Paulo Grand Prix, where Verstappen won from 17th on the grid. When he encountered Leclerc, he was the only person who actually posed with some decent defensive skills to put some challenge in front of Max Verstappen. And Verstappen said it in the cool-down room. He said that Charles is decent. That's high praise. The fourth and final advantage of Charles Leclerc going into the 2025 season is Ferrari, actually, because they are headed in the right direction. If you remember their last race, the 2024 season finale in Abu Dhabi, he went from P19 to P3. A lot of things could have gone the typical Ferrari way, strategy wise, pit stop wise, reliability wise, and whatnot. But that didn't. And it shows that the teams have finally worked out all of the issues that they had, not all of the issues that they had, but a majority of the issues that they had related to strategy and reliability of the car. Obviously, in the 2025 preseason testing, you cannot read too much into the lap times, you cannot read too much into the standings, but the drivers seem happy. Leclerc seems comfortable with the car, and it seems that under the leadership of Fred Vasseur, they are headed in the right direction, and it's very likely that they will show up with a championship winning package in the 2025 season, with the likelihood of fewer pit stop and strategy errors. We will talk about this in the weaknesses section. Let's get into it. The biggest weakness of Charles Leclerc is the Ferrari curse. The curse is so big and powerful that I have broken it down into three subcategories or sub curses. The first one is strategy, the second one is package, and the third one is the driver mismanagement. I'll give one example of each of them because there are actually way too many examples, which is kind of concerning to see before the 2025 season. Either way, strategy, I'll give the example of 2024 Silverstone Grand Prix, where Leclerc was forced to do multiple laps around a dry circuit by wearing wet tires, which fucked his entire race. He could have potentially won that one. The second one is package, and it can be broken into two further sub curses. The number one is reliability, and we have seen this in Charles Leclerc's first ever race for Ferrari in the 2019 Bahrain Grand Prix. He was leading the race, he was about to win, reliability, Ferrari curse, right? And then he was P3. Another sub curse of the package one is the legality of the car. In the 2019 season, again, Charles Leclerc's first ever season with Ferrari, in the 2019 season, they were messing with the fuel pump sensors, for which their car had unbelievable straight line speed. This is why he won in Spa and in Monza. When it was discovered that Ferrari were messing with the fuel pump sensor things, they had this secret agreement with the FIA and they resolved it behind the scenes. In the 2020 season, their performance was fucked up. It was one of the worst ever seasons Ferrari ever encountered in their history, which is a big thing to say. So again, when it comes to package, reliability of the car when the car is performing well, and the potential legality of the car when the car is performing too well. The third element of the Ferrari curse was the mismanagement between drivers, managing each of their pit strategies, managing how both of the drivers finished the race. A simple example of that is the 2024 Vegas Grand Prix, in which I think Leclerc could have, and in a way should have, finished ahead of Carlos Sainz, but at the same time, Sainz also drove a beautiful race. He managed his tires and everything. But when Leclerc was coming out of the pits, he was told not to attack or not to be so aggressive with Carlos Sainz, and he ended up regretting it. After the Las Vegas Grand Prix got wrapped up, we hear a beautiful radio message from Charles Leclerc, and Fred Vasseur himself has to come in and calm him down. The second weakness that Charles has, and I think many people may disagree with me on this one, is that he is kind of beatable. If you compare Leclerc with his teammates, I mean, his first teammate was Marcus Ericsson, who was shit. Then it was Sebastian Vettel, who was, in the tail end of his career. He was about to leave. Ferrari was becoming too toxic for him anyway. He had those two losses against Lewis Hamilton in 17 and 18, and he was burnt out on a very high degree. So you have to kind of look at that with a grain of salt. Then the next teammate that Charles had was Carlos Sainz. And a lot of people thought that Leclerc will be far ahead from Carlos Sainz, but that was not the case. In the 2023 season, Leclerc and Sainz were separated by 6 points, although in 2024 they were separated by 66 points. Regardless of the point difference, Sainz was right up there with Charles. His race pace was good. I think in 2024, Sainz has more fastest laps in the course of a race compared to Charles Leclerc, which is interesting to see because you would assume that Leclerc is the one who is fast around the circuit in just one quick lap. Either way, I still believe that Leclerc is riding on potential a little bit. It's been, I think, 6 years or 7 years or something that he has been in Ferrari. And while he had great moments, he still manages to fall short just by a little bit. Earlier in this video, I talked about his battles with Max Verstappen, his wheel-to-wheel battles. In most of these battles, Verstappen did beat Leclerc. Whether Verstappen is too aggressive or he's too tricky or he doesn't care or he is too crash prone, whatever the reason is, Verstappen did have a little bit of extra edge over Leclerc, and Carlos Sainz definitely managed to keep up with Charles Leclerc. It was not like, oh my god, the difference between Sainz and Leclerc is too much. It was never like that. On some occasions and races, yes, but it was never like Lewis and Valtteri. It was never like Sebastian and Kimi Raikkonen. It was never, obviously, it was never like Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, because Perez was like retarded in the past 2 seasons. At this moment, he is beatable. Partly because of the Ferrari curse, but also partly because he is still riding on the potential. He still has to dig deeper and find more performance. And the thing is, he can do it. He can actually get better. Because in 2022 season, he made a lot of mistakes here and there. Like in France 2022, he crashed from P1. In Imola, he made another mistake which cost him a chunk of points. All of these mistakes have become less and less frequent, and I don't think in 2024 he made any big driving mistakes. I guess in Azerbaijan he could have defended the inside line against Oscar Piastri a bit more aggressively, but that's really about it. So I definitely believe that Charles's weakness of being beatable and still riding on potential can be ironed out. I think he just needs to dig a little bit deeper and find that extra performance, which he clearly has. The only reason why he hasn't been able to do this till now is because of the Ferrari curse. So I guess it is related to the Ferrari curse. Either way, judging by how Charles's career has panned out so far, I think the 2025 season will be very painful emotionally for the viewers, because there will be great moments like Charles usually has, but at the same time, in the very next race, there will be extremely painful moments where he will retire from the formation lap, just like he did in 2021 Monaco Grand Prix. There will be a lot of ups and downs in the 2025 season related to Charles Leclerc. Emotional roller coaster, if I may add. I guess we will have to go through this together. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.